started. So he's making slow progress. Emergency services determined to stop him. It appears that he's not going to get much further than where he is right now, because that device is lowering as we speak to intercept him. That's what's going on now. We'll have this is going to come to an end, it looks like, fairly soon. So come on back and we'll show you.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting a little bit of exhausted right now. He's been at it for more than an hour. We saw him drinking something from his backpack. But again, Jim, if we can go to that wider shot there. Something just...
No, they are breaking the window right above him, trying to get a place. He's avoided the ESU people, and you can see there's a hole there. They are actually breaking the window right above him so that officers can get a hold of him, at least try to get him when he goes by that way. And that's what flew by. It looked like glass.
Yeah, Jim, what are you seeing there now? We could see that the guy appeared to be a little shaken there. That glass, just shards of it coming down.
One of these was like an IFB number.
Jim, can you hear us? We've lost contact with Jim for a second. When he comes back, Jim, just interrupt us. But as you can see...
We're here, David.
Good. You can see a police
David,
officer head out the window now, Jim.
Yeah, they just broke out that window as if what they have done, breaking the grates didn't work, because he worked his way off to the left. They just broke out a window directly above him. He's not getting much higher, and he must be realizing that now. They broke out a window in the building in order to get to him. They're also lowering that window washer scaffolding down to get him. He's not going to get much higher. He has eluded them for a short while, and now he's going back to the right. But this climb is going to be over soon, and you'll be able to see it end right here, because they're going to pull him in shortly.
Yeah, it looks like they're closing in on him on every side there. You have the firefighters there that are getting to the glass, and above that, they're using that window washer device to try to come down and scale down and bring him in.
Clearly, Jim, he's not moving now because those shards of the glass are coming down, and the officers clearly not worried about hurting him or not, because they want him to just stop, and they want to get a hold of this guy before he hurts himself or hurts anybody else by falling, heaven forbid.
Exactly right, Bill. He's moving laterally from left to right because he can't move up, because there are emergency services workers in every direction now. So he must be realizing this is over now. I don't know at what point he saw the scaffolding coming down, but he definitely heard and saw the window break above him, showing their determination to pull him in. So he must realize this is going to be over very quickly. He's also shown signs of fatigue, so he's probably happy that it's over. But again, this has been enormously inconvenient. They had to close down, police had to close down Fifth Avenue. They had to close down 56th Street. This is at rush hour in order to make sure this guy didn't hurt anybody else. And it looks now like they are close to bringing him inside the building.
There's a lot of resources that are put to try to get this man down. And again, we still don't know why he chose to scale this tower. Again, this happened somewhere around 4, so he's been at it for quite some time, and clearly he's got to be exhausted, and certainly the firefighters have got to be a little frustrated here.
Well, he has to be exhausted, and it has shown signs of fatigue. I don't know if you can see the orange bands that his feet are going into. So every time he moves, he has to make sure that he has a place to put his feet, and he's got to support himself with his hands for those periods. So he's got to be exhausted at this point, and he must realize that it's very close to being over, because there are emergency services workers all around him, and have even, as we said, broken out window panes in this building in order to get him. So, yeah, he must realize this is over. He does actually appear to be trying to go up still, but
he does.
But obviously he can't go very far.
I don't know, with all due respect, Jim, I don't know how quickly this is going to be over. I mean, unless, even if they lower that thing down to him, which they're right on top of him, so they got to be careful, or if they break a window right next to him, in some ways, they have to assume he wants to give himself up, because if they don't, it's going to be tough for them to actually get him, to get in a position where they can bring him in.
Bring him in safely.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. It will take them some time, but he's not going to get much higher. The scaffolding is directly above him, so he won't be able to go higher than he is. And to his right, one floor up, there are emergency services workers who have broken through a grate. So at some point, his climb will have to end, and at that point, he will realize, he'll realize that he has to come in. They have him from all sides now. It is really just a matter of him giving himself up because he can't go any higher.
It looks like he has three
Eventually he'll
suction
come to
cups. He looks like he has 3 suction cups. He clearly knows what he's doing. Perhaps has a lot of experience in rock climbing or mountain climbing. And the pressure is on the suction cup on his legs. That wrap, that orange wrap is wrapped around that suction cup. He does what rock climbers are calling smearing his shoe against the window, so he's got a little foothold there. But the pressure of that is on the pressure of the suction cup. His life totally dependent on those suction cups holding. It looks like there are 3 of them from our vantage point through the Eyewitness News camera anyway. It looks like there are 3 of them.
Yeah. But he has been, Jim,
all
and we
the
have...
weight is on the subject.
Go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead, Sade.
No, I was just going to say it does
All
appear
the
that
weight is
he's
on
been...
those suction cups, and he moves them around from side to side. He moves them left to right lately because he can't move up anymore. And again, I said this earlier, but he's got to make sure that he's got a clean grip on the window. So occasionally he has to stop and clean the glass in order to move. He's got to make sure that that those suction cups, and Bill, you said there were 3. I can't really see that closely from where I am. I thought there were 4 earlier, but you may be right. He's got to make sure those have a clean grip on the window before he moves. Yeah. And so this is extremely slow. It's got to be exhausting. I don't care how good a shape he's in. It's got to be exhausting. And as you can see, there are emergency services workers virtually all around him. He appears now to be working his way to the left, but they're determined to stop him, and it's at some point he's going to have to give himself up.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jim, you're right. There are 4 suction cups. It looks like there's one hanging off the back of him, and there's 3 right now on the window. But it looks like, you know, maybe he's saying, okay, you know, I got to give up at this point. I'm kind of cornered in here. Maybe he's trying to go up to that area where the firefighters just punched out that window. It's hard to say at this point.
It could be. I don't know. It appears to me that he's actually moving further to the left now and maybe trying to get across that corner. It looks like that's what he's doing. Again, we don't really know, but he has moved further to the left now and appears to be trying to get around the corner to go up the window, up the building. If he does that, they will find another way to get him before he gets much higher. Now he seems to be going up again, but again, right above him is that window washer scaffolding that has emergency service workers inside it, and there he is. He's cleaning the window right there, trying to make sure that has a good grip on the window. But again, going up again, as he has been moving to the left to try to avoid the emergency services workers.
Okay, Jim, stay with us for a moment. Right now, we want to go to NJ Burkett, who is also there on the ground. And NJ, I understand that you spoke to a witness.
In fact, actually, I have 2 witnesses who are with me right now. We don't want to cut away from the scene here on the side of the building, the side of Trump Tower, but I want to take a moment to talk to a few witnesses, people who actually saw this man as he began to scale the side of the building. It's Tyler Jones and Blake Crossan, who are both out here on 56th Street when the man began to climb the side of the building. So tell me, Tyler, what did you see?
So we got up there, we were just going to check out the garden area, and he was immediately on our right, and he was kind of hyping himself up. We had 2 book bags with him, and we blindsided it essentially, went away, and we turned around about 2 minutes later, and he was running the side of the building. There's like a little ledge that he was running on. And so we pull out our phones and we start recording him, and we were there for about 3 or 4 minutes while he was setting himself up, and he turns and he starts seeing us and he starts to freak out, and he starts to rush and hurry and make mistakes, and he actually started dropping a couple things, and he was
threw something on purpose. He threw a yellow bag off on purpose, and then when he saw us, started dropping cords and stuff. And then once he got on the building, he had pieces of paper that he was holding up, but we couldn't tell what it said. But it was
it a sign of some kind?
Yeah, it looked like he took printer paper and wrote something on it with Sharpie and was holding it up to the glass.
But you couldn't tell what it was?
No, security was kicking everyone off.
He was kind of freaking out, and he really dropped everything he had. He had some more cords and stuff, which might be why it's taking so long to climb up it. So they started evacuating us, making us go farther and farther down.
Did he actually speak to you? Did you speak to him?
I heard him drop the F-bomb, if that counts.
Yeah.
When he dropped all his stuff.
But that was the only thing you heard him say?
Yeah, he was just staring at us, kind of just like freaking out, thinking we were cops looking for everyone.
Yeah. So once he saw you, he began to sort of rush what he was doing.
We told one of the police, or security over here, that he dropped his bag and dropped a couple other things somewhere in that corner of where he climbed up on the side of. We told them they could have gotten it, but...
And so, at first when you saw him doing this, what went through your mind? What were you thinking?
I actually pulled my phone out, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do, so I actually told Donald Trump on Twitter that there's someone on the side of his building. I wasn't sure if it was going to do anything, but it got me in contact with a couple people to really get the story out there, because it seemed like a big joke at first. It was kind of too surreal.
And Blake, you said you thought he was about to go base jumping or something?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna, do what the fashion is now and base jump, because he took off sprinting over the rocks right above the public garden on Trump Tower's top floor. So, and it looked like parachutes, but I guess it was just some bags or...
He had a lot of ropes. I thought he was gonna rappel or something, and he ended up pulling up those suction cups. He started scaling the side of it. They got the ladder thing on the side of it, but he refused. They were underneath him. He kept dropping all of his stuff, and when they started, I guess they were yelling at him on the side of it, and he started freaking out, and he's actually made it a long distance since then. We
heard security on the radio say that there was nothing they could do, and it was a danger to try and get him, so all they could do was corner him.
Corner him and then wait for the situation to sort of resolve itself. I don't want to put the officers in danger here. You're watching the emergency services unit, the elite unit of the NYPD. These guys are essentially the Navy SEALs of the NYPD. They're extraordinary, extraordinary officers. All right, we're going to send it back now to the studio as we continue to watch the situation unfold here at the base of Trump Tower. Back to you.
Okay, Andrew Burkett with 2 eyewitnesses that saw the young man get there, put up some sort of sign against the window. No one knows what that sign said. Wrote it in Sharpie. Jim Dole, I want to return to you. You're watching what's going on. It looks like this young man is actually moving away from that window. There are now some moving blankets up there to maybe cushion the sharp glass that might be there, but he's moving to the left. And I wonder, Jim, is there any place he can go anywhere he wants, I guess, unless they break open another window?
Yeah, Bill, again, we're sort of speculating here, but it looks like they may actually have made a deal for him to come in. He has moved to the left, but not so far as to avoid the people who broke out, the emergency services workers who broke out that window. If he wanted to avoid them completely, he'd be better off moving way to the left. But he may have made a deal to go in that window. You see they put the blankets over the broken glass. That may be to reassure him that it's safe to come in there. It may be to make sure he's not injured as they bring him in, because they literally broke out the window. And you can see that up there. They broke out that window almost with a hammer. I don't know how they did it, but a few minutes ago we saw the glass falling. And it may be that he has agreed to come in there. We'll see right here. Is he going to go off to the left? And it looks like he is. He is going to try to avoid them. He is moving his suction cup rig off to the left to try to avoid them. Now, we reported earlier about the scaffolding that was above him. That has moved off. It's gone back up the building. I don't know what the point of that is. I don't know whether they can move it from one side to the other, but it has moved away from him now, and it is, I don't know, 20 or 30 floors above him right now. So as he moves off to the left, he is trying to avoid emergency services workers. They're going to have to come up with another plan to get him out. He's now going up, it looks like, as he continues his climb. Again, his feet are in those orange sort of stirrups, that orange belt that's on the bottom, and he has to put his weight, he has to put the suction cups, plant the suction cups, and then move. Every piece has to go extremely slowly, and that's what he's doing right now. He is definitely moving off to the left, apparently to avoid
he certainly is.
contact with emergency services. This could be the crucial one. If he goes up here, I'm sorry, Sade?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, he's got a long way to go. This is a 58-story building, and it doesn't look like he plans to go in.
He's not 12 stories up.
Yeah.
Let me say, Jim,
it's starting to look like that, but let's just keep an eye on it. He's surprised us all day long. Let's see what he's going to do.
Let me say that there's an orange colored string there, piece of nylon, really high-tech stuff. There's also a purple one, because they're each connected to one of those things, and he needs to know for sure which one he is taking off and desuctioning and then putting it on again And you can see him tightening it. There are little tightening devices on each of these things as they suction there.
Yep.
And then he has to untighten them and pull them off. But each one brightly colored, those ropes, so that he knows exactly which ones he's taking off, and they're connected to his leg. And he just
Yeah,
took
that's
his leg.
exactly right. Actually, Bill, until you pointed it out, because I'm on the ground,
Right.
I couldn't see the purple one, but you're right. They are sort of color coded for him so that he knows exactly what's, what has to move and at what point. But he is going up here, and if he really wanted to avoid emergency services workers, he'd go off to the left. So we'll see what happens here. But the emergency services workers are in that broken window off to the right. They put up a blanket in case he agrees to come in, and we'll see right over the next few minutes whether he's going to avoid them or whether he is going to go into the window. Getting
Jim,
decision time, though. He's going to have to make a decision soon.
Yeah, he's going to have to make a decision quite soon. But also, emergency service workers, they've got to decide if this guy is going to continue to the left and move up, what is their next plan of attack? They've got to figure out what to do next. Do they, then go on a couple higher floors and break out a window and hope to coax them back in? This is quite a dilemma for them.
Yeah, it is, but keep in mind these people are trained in this, and they will figure out a way. And in terms, this again is Trump Tower, so they have great familiarity with how it's laid out and how this will work. This is the NYPD, and this is emergency services, and they train for this kind of thing. They will have a plan. If they don't already have a plan in place, they will have one quickly. And I'm told now that he is, by the way, on the 16th floor. So I've been saying about 12 or 13. But he is on the 16th floor. But again, a very tall building, and he's got a long way to go. And emergency services appears at least to be determined that he will not get much higher.
All right, Jim, let me just bring everyone up to date. At 5:17 on this Wednesday afternoon, that man right there in shorts and climbing gear with giant suction cups for their window has climbed the Trump Tower, 56th Street and 5th Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. Traffic shut down. We don't know why he is there. It happened about an hour ago, and he has been climbing. Our NJ Burkett also on the ground, along with Jim Dolan. And NJ, set the stage for us on the ground. What do you see? Is there anything to break his fall from the 16th floor down to the ground? Is there a patio there or anything else? Or is he straight up?
There really isn't, Bill. He is about 7 or 8 stories above a sub-roof, and that sub-roof is actually a garden terrace. So, it looks like he's really high up on the building, 16, 18 stories up, but he's really, how do I say, only 7 or 8 stories, but he's 7 or 8 stories above that sub-roof. So, obviously, if he fell, he'd be severely injured, if not killed, if he were to fall. But yes, I think 5th Avenue is shut down going past Trump Tower. I think it is fair to say this portion of Midtown is in gridlock now as a result of the police efforts here to secure the area around Trump Tower. 56th Street is closed between Madison and 5th Avenue. And we are, as you know, watching this unfold with 2 eyewitnesses, 2 tourists from Newport News, Virginia, who actually saw the man as he began his climb, as he arrived on that terrace there to begin scaling Trump Tower. And clearly that's what they believed he was up to at the time. Pulled out the suction cups, pulled out the ropes, and just began very, very nervously and deliberately to scale the side of the building. Those 2 witnesses are Tyler Jones and Blake Croson, again from Newport News, Virginia. They were on that ledge at that terrace there where you can see where the tree is, and they saw the man then begin the climb. What were you thinking again, Tyler, when you saw him do that?
It was a little too surreal. It's kind of, you hear about this in movies all the time, but it was just weird to watch it unfold. It just didn't seem real to me.
Remember, you guys are from Virginia, and you just said to me a moment ago when we were off the air, you said, wow, does this happen a lot in New York? And I said, well, no, it doesn't. In fact, the last time I can remember, Bill, that this happened was the New York Times building, where architecturally, at least the lower portion of it, provided almost a ladder for people to scale the side of the building. Not so here at Trump Tower. It's a very different design, Bill, as you know.
There's no question about it. I remember that Times building. People climbing buildings in New York City is nothing new, of course. What makes this news is that it's the Trump Tower, and Mr. Trump obviously in the middle of a presidential campaign, although we do not know why this man is here. Jim Dolan, I don't know if you heard NJ's interview, but he said that he talked to people who said he put some kind of sign against the window and then they don't know what happened to it. He used a marks a lot, some sort of black marker, Sharpie, and showed it inside to the people inside or someone inside, or tried to, but we don't know what was on there, so we have no idea what he's doing. He is chatting, Jim. I don't know if you can see this. He seemed to be chatting with the NYPD ESU workers who are inside, but clearly they are not taking a chance and trying to grab him, even though they're only about 4 feet away. Wait, look at this. Oh no. Reaching a hand up.
He is gesturing inside to them right now, but again, apparently trying to avoid them. Let me just show you where we are. This is 56th Street, and you see the emergency services has put up this huge pillow, this huge inflatable mattress on 56th Street in case he falls in this direction, but it's a good 15 feet from the side of the building, so he would have to fall way out. Now that's right, go back up there, Justin. That is where he is on the 16th floor, may actually have made his way up to the 17th floor right now, but he is not going inside the building through that window that emergency services workers have provided for him. They broke out that window about a half hour ago, and he is not going into the building from that direction. Appears to continue to climb the building. Again, about 17 floors up at this point. He has a long way to go if he plans to make it all the way up that building. But there's nothing below him, directly below him, to break his fall. If he comes down, if those suction cups fail, he will land hard on a landing, a sort of a garden level on the 4th floor of Trump Tower. Now, you were talking about that sign earlier, Bill. Police clearly would have gotten rid of that sign so as not to give whatever political message, if there was a political message, any attention. So police would have gotten rid of that sign as quickly as possible, and they did have to come in here quickly to close down 5th Avenue and close down 56th Street to make sure nobody else was hurt by whatever this stunt is. By this man climbing the building right now. And you can see he appears to be at least avoiding the emergency services workers in that window, and is going to continue his climb as far as he can get. We'll see how far they let him go.
5:22,
yeah.
5:22 in the afternoon, 56 in Midtown, 5th Avenue shut down. This is causing a lot of people a lot of grief trying to get home today.
Yeah, certainly so. And it appears that this man is having conversations with the emergency services unit there. You can see they're going back and forth from time to time. But again, this started somewhere around 4, so it's been over an hour that he's been climbing, showing some sign of fatigue. But clearly, he is not giving up, even though he has been surrounded by all sides. He is making his way to the left. He is again scaling the south side of the towers. It is a 58-story tall building, but he is now somewhere between the 16th and 17th floor right now. And again, no sign of giving up.
Jim, I don't know if there's that big, inflatable cushion. That's if he falls. He's going to fall, though, according to Jim Dolan. He's going to fall onto that 4th floor. Or 4 floors down to that landing there, not down to that, but that, of course, is just in case. Jim, he doesn't seem to be moving very fast away, so I wonder whether he likes this engagement with these cops who are there, the ESU workers, because if he didn't, he would just be, well, he's got to go up again a little bit, but he's moving much more slowly than he was before. There's no question about that.
Bill, he's been engaging with the police almost the entire time. I don't know whether he's taunting them. I don't know what he's doing. It has appeared from this distance to be a civil conversation, but he has been engaging with them both below him and in that window that you see broken off to the right, almost since the beginning. And his climb is necessarily slow. He's had to move laterally on several occasions in order to avoid emergency services workers. You see now he is continuing to go up, and we don't know what the plan is to get him off of that building, but they're definitely talking to him and engaging with him, and it is not clear what his intentions are other than to keep going up. But he has avoided them, and it's necessarily slow because it's a slow, rigorous process to get those suction cups onto the side of the building, and it is he's also had to move laterally for the last half hour, 45 minutes, just to avoid the police.
All right, Jim, we're going to go to a phone in a second. Let me just say that this young gentleman is clearly an experienced climber. He knows what he's doing, and the way he's built, the way his muscles are, he has done this many, many times before, if not the Trump building, somewhere else, certainly perhaps in nature, because he clearly knows what he's doing and is fully equipped.
Yeah, but we still don't know why he is doing this, what his message is. Meanwhile, let's go to Joseph Jacqueline, who is a retired NYPD detective sergeant. He is on the phone with us, and thank you so much for joining us. You've been watching this unfold just like the rest of us. What is the plan of attack at this point when you've got a guy who he's just getting away?
Well, one of the things that the police are going to be doing is almost like a hostage negotiation team. You're going to have your best negotiators out there to try to convince him to come in off these windows and these ledges. I mean, nobody wants to see him fall, and nobody wants to see traffic get snarled for hours. And, you know, the police are going to have to try to do their best to convince him it's in everyone's best interest that he comes back inside.
Mm-hmm. We saw Detective Sergeant, we saw the scaffolding coming down, the window washer scaffolding coming down, and then it was brought back up. And they realized, going any lower, they would hit him. It doesn't seem like they're going to try to, they want to give him an opportunity to get in, but it doesn't seem they're going to try to get him forcibly in. Or are they?
Well, no, I don't think they're going to try anything forced, because any wrong move doesn't get one of these suction cups on right, and it could be a tragedy.
Yeah.
And by lowering the windshield washer thing, I mean, it's going to be another problem. So, I mean, it's above them. The only way they could do that is if they have one below him that they can bring up and have the ESU cops there with them, along with the fire department, to be able to get them up there to try to get him down.
And certainly they have daylight hours on their side right now. But as we transition into the evening, this could be even more problematic.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, they'll bring in the spotlights, and the helicopters will be out there with the searchlights too, and to be able to watch his progress to try to see if we can convince him to end this, whatever he's trying to prove, or make a statement, whatever.
Can you talk about sort of the negotiation process here? Because we've been seeing this exchange going on between the climber and some of the emergency services unit. Can you talk about what they may be saying to him to try to coax him to come in?
Sure, they might even engage in, having a relative, a mother, a parent, to try to, talk to him. Otherwise, maybe, bring somebody to the scene. It doesn't look like he's doing this so that he's trying to get away from somebody like you would maybe a hostage situation. So it actually might be a good idea if we can get somebody in there to help talk him into the side of the building. I mean, anybody who's watching this, he's going so slow that this could be going on for hours.
It really could be. It really could be. It looked at one point, Joe, that he was going to, maybe turn himself in and get close, but then he veered off to the left. But he is having a fairly friendly and spirited conversation with whoever is down there. Is this a member of the ESU, like hostage negotiator, who's there, or is it just any member of the ESU?
Well, yeah, usually the hostage negotiation team comes out of the detective bureau. So there's really no hostage negotiation team per se, but they have members throughout the whole city, so that there's always somebody on call. So when something like this happens, you got your detectives in Manhattan who will respond right to that building.
So clearly the negotiator is not working at this point. So what do you think is the next plan of attack in getting this man inside?
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for him. If he's still talking, he's still strolling back and forth. So hopefully that he would be able to be convinced to come inside. But if not, we're going to have to wait for him to get to the actual roof before they take him in.
Is that it? I mean, do you think that they would take another chance to knock out another window and try to grab him? And we've also been seeing that scaffold come down that they use, that the window washers use to come down. We saw that just above the climber, a few stories up, but then they brought it back up to the roof again. Do you think that they'll try to use that on the other side of the building? What is their game plan, do you think?
Well, yeah, the window washer, ledge is going to be something that might be in play here. They might break out a few more windows a little further north of him and try to, do something that way. But you know what? As the police department, you got to be very careful, because if they move too fast and this guy, God forbid, slips, people are going to be questioning, why did the police move so quickly? Right. So, yeah, we want the police to move, and then if something, God forbid, happens, they'll say, what'd you do? So they're going to take this real slow.
During our conversation, Joe, it's clearly now using 4 suction cups and still got one hanging behind him, 5. Who knows what he has in his backpack? But he clearly knows what he's doing and has some experience climbing and as a sport or a recreation.
Yeah, let's put it this way. I wouldn't have made 5 feet on that building. before I fell off. So, I mean, yeah, he definitely knows what he's doing. But you know what? I mean, one good thing is whoever's speaking to him, it looks like he's building a rapport with him, which is a good sign because he keeps on looking down and keep on answering questions. So that's a good sign. We might be able to, convince him after he gets to a certain point or he realizes how much media attention he's actually gotten that he'll, think that he did his job or whatever he wanted to prove. And hopefully he'll come in quietly.
That's a good point. Hang with us for a second, Detective Sergeant. We're talking to NYPD retired Detective Sergeant Joseph Jackalone. We are watching a special edition of Eyewitness News at 5:30. A young man, clearly an experienced mountain climber, seemingly knows what he's doing, started suctioning up the Trump Tower, 56th Street and 5th Avenue in Midtown in the 4 o'clock hour, and he's been going up ever since. The NYPD ESU unit, the SEAL team, the SWAT team of the police department, although they don't like to be called SWAT team. They have broken out a window. As you can see, there's a blanket hanging out over there. They originally brought a window scaffolding down, but it almost was going to hit him in the head if they went any lower, and they didn't do that. He has been conversing with the ESU members inside, the NYPD, inside that broken window. They have not broken any other windows. We don't know why he was there. When he first went up, he wrote something on a white piece of paper in Sharpie, put it up against the window, some message, we don't know. And we don't know what happened to that piece of paper, but he showed it to someone inside, and he started climbing. We don't know why he's there, but because it is the Trump Tower, and in case you haven't noticed, Mr. Trump is the Republican nominee for president, this takes on even greater significance. And importantly, Midtown Manhattan, at the rush hour home, is shut down at 5th Avenue and the areas residing around 56th Street.
Yeah, and there's just gridlock in the area. Well, Joe, if you can stay with us, because we're probably going to want to come back to you, but right now let's go to Jim Dolan, who is also there on the scene. And Jim, are you hearing anything about, what's being communicated between this man scaling the building and with the NYPD Emergency Services Unit?
Sade, police are only saying that they are talking to him, and we can see that from our angle. He is just talking up a storm with whoever will listen up there. And they are talking mostly tactics with him. They don't really care what his political agenda is, if he has one, but they are talking about him surrendering and giving himself up and getting off of the side of that building. He is showing no signs of wanting to do that. We showed you earlier that they lowered a scaffolding from the top of the building down below to just a few floors above him. They then raised that scaffolding up, and it appears that they've moved it to a different side of the building now. Whether that's part of whatever game plan they have is not terribly clear, but he has made his way up now to the 17th floor. He was stuck there on the 16th floor moving laterally for, probably 45 minutes or so, but he is now going up, and if there is a game plan that the police have, that emergency services workers have, it's not terribly apparent to us, but they are clearly working on something to get him off of that building. They have moved a huge pillow, an inflatable pillow, to the window side, or to the
Yeah, we see it
if he
now.
were to fall, he would land on this inflatable. Can you see that? That inflatable pillow that's on the garden level, Bill? If he falls, he will land on that. But again, as he goes higher, that is still going to seem mighty hard if he falls. So he does appear to be going up, and that is the 18th floor that he is getting close to right there. He's just put a suction cup onto the bottom of that 18th floor window.
Jim, did you hear our interview with the retired NYPD Detective Sergeant?
I heard some of it. We were working down here, but I did hear some of it. Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, he said that, it's pretty clear that the ESU is not going to try to forcibly bring him in, that the risks of something happening to him and anybody below are just too great. So this thing could drag out for a very long time. And as Sade pointed out, the sun is about 2.5 hours or so before it sets, a little less than that. But this thing could go on for a long time. The detective sergeant said they just bring in some spotlights. You could be there, Jim, for a long time, depending on when this young man decides to get in.
Yeah, but depending on when he decides to get in or just gets too tired to keep moving up, and when he finally communicates with police that wants to come in. Again, 17 floors in you guys know, a very tall building here at Trump Tower. So, and it's taken him this long. We've been on the air now, since a little after 4 o'clock. So he has been climbing already for a long time, is continuing to go up. So make no mistake, he's determined. But ESU is forming a plan, and as you say, there's not so much time left. of daylight for him to continue to go up. I don't know how important daylight is to his rig up there, but he is continuing to climb, and ESU so far, they wouldn't try to pull him off of the building. Their goal right now is to minimize any damage and to try to make sure nobody gets hurt, including him. But he is showing no signs of cooperating, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. Okay, Jim, thank you so much. Let's go to NJ Burkett now. And NJ, you know, as we continue to look at the shot of this man scaling this building below, on the ground where you are, Fifth Avenue is shut down and there is just gridlock in the area. Can you describe the scene there now?
Well, you know, it looks like a scene from one of those disaster movies where you've got people just lined up on the street corners, looking up at the side of a building. It's like something you'd see in a film. I mean, tourists have stopped everything they're doing. Traffic has stopped moving through this section of Midtown. There's gridlock because of Fifth Avenue's being shut down in front of Trump Tower, which, of course, is in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. So, yes, all of that is going on. One thing that occurred to me is that if we do get rain here, that's going to present a significant challenge to this guy as he tries to make his way up the side of the building, as police try to review their tactics and figure out how best to handle this. And as I'm sure you've mentioned several times here, the officers don't want to put themselves in jeopardy. The supervisors don't want to put them in jeopardy. You know, it's a very difficult situation because right now the only person who's in jeopardy is the guy who chose on his own to scale the side of this building, and he clearly is showing no signs of wanting to come off the building, at least so far as we can figure, watching from, I don't know, 17 or 18 stories down on the ground. But I have been watching the scene unfold with two tourists who actually saw him. They seem to be maybe the only people who actually did see him begin to scale the side of the building. Blake Croson and Tyler Jones of Newport News, Virginia. We've been talking to them and watching as this man has tried to do what he's doing on the side of the building. And Blake, if you can just recap now for the audience how it was that you were able to see this guy and what you saw him doing at the very beginning.
We saw him because we were on the public garden on the top floor, and he was acting kind of weird, jumping around. Took basketball shorts off, and then just took off sprinting on the side on the rocks, like on this balcony area.
But again, to recap, he didn't say anything to you specifically. I know he used an expletive when he saw that you were watching him and that apparently his cover had been blown or something. But then there was a sign, I guess, that he had with him, or some sort of a piece of paper with writing on it.
Yeah, once we had been kicked off the top and on the inside, you could see him holding up a piece of, looked like printer paper with Sharpie writing on it. At that point, security in the building had kicked everyone out too far to be able to read what it said, but he was holding them up and dropped them at some point, but he was trying to get a message out. For sure.
Right, and Tyler Jones, you saw the initial ascent up the side of the building.
Yes.
Again, he didn't say anything to you about what he was doing and why.
Not at all. He was in a panic when we first saw him, and I guess he thought that no one saw him before he started running. But after he got to the end, the corner of the glass, he did see us, and he started really panicking, sweating, and started to go from there, drop some things. So the words weren't really being said directly to us, more of, in general, cuss words for himself.
And so what are you thinking now as you're watching this as one of the only people who actually saw this thing from the beginning?
I kind of, in hindsight, I kind of wish we could have maybe grabbed him or stopped him, because this whole thing wouldn't have unfolded. So there's absolutely no way to stop that. There's no way to prevent this. But I feel like we could have done something to help the situation.
Yeah. Well, I know obviously security was alerted pretty quickly once you guys were clear as to what was happening.
Yeah, they were really on it. They started kicking everyone down, kicking everyone out, floor by floor. When they noticed that there probably is no way they can just get him from where he's at, they completely escorted everyone out the building. So they handled it very professionally.
And let's make clear to the audience, Donald Trump is not in the building and has not been in the building at all today. So that is clearly not an issue here. But you actually put a tweet out shortly after security removed you from the building, didn't you? You tweeted Donald Trump.
Yes, I sent him at first I thought he was rappelling off the side of the building, and it was kind of, if we left the scene, we'd lose footage, I guess. So I thought I'd send him a quick tweet and say, hey, look, there's something happening. Not expecting a response, but definitely a cry out.
Did you get a response?
I did not get a response from Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, I guess they had other things to worry about at that point. They obviously figured out what was going on. Tyler Jones and Blake Croson of Newport News, Virginia, thank you both for giving us a lot of insight, because I think you are the only people, at least the only people that I've seen in canvassing the crowd here outside Trump Tower, to have seen the original ascent as the man went up the side of the building.
Yeah, we were the only two on the roof at the time.
Only two people who wanted to go get a look from that that subroof, that lovely garden up there, which has now become a police crime scene. You can see they've set up this huge inflatable mattress at that subroof. They've got another one that is down at street level. So if he were to fall in either direction, it would somehow, in theory, soften the blow. You wouldn't want that to happen to you?
It appears that at one point, they drilled a hole in the glass and put a little sheet, so maybe an attempt to make him surrender or maybe grab him and pull him through, but he's just said no to that, and he's going to keep doing what he wants to do.
Yeah, he's, as Jim has pointed out, as Jim Dolan's been pointing out for the last hour or so, he's evading the police. He's going to the left, he's going to the right, he's going up to the side. It seems he's doing everything he can do to remain up there for as long as he can. So again, that is now the scene from the ground, speaking with two eyewitnesses exclusively who have been watching the scene unfold from the very beginning. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Oh, okay, NJ, thank you. And we can still see this cat and mouse game unfolding here on the south side of the Trump Towers. Again, this started somewhere shortly after 4, so this climber has been added for more than an hour and a half now, showing some signs of fatigue. We do have NYPD Emergency Services units there on the scene trying to coax this man inside, but he is refusing to do so, still making his way towards the left. Jim Dolan, you were there on the scene, and Jim, the last time we checked, the services unit did bring down that scaffolding, but then they quickly brought it back up again. Now it apparently it is now maneuvered on the other side of the building, so they're attempting to try to get him again from another vantage point. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, not the other side of the building, Sade, but a different facing of the south side of the building. They are lowering it now, and it appears what they're doing, you know, we can't be sure, but it appears what they're doing is to try to box him in. He could move off to the left before to avoid that scaffolding, but now it is coming down the extreme south side, the extreme south face of the building, where they will lower it to his level and then either break out windows on either side of him or somehow try to get him in from the outside. They would not try to pull him in, but they would make it clear that he wasn't going to get any further. And we'll see this unfold during the course of this broadcast, but it appears what they're doing now is they're bringing that scaffolding down the extreme south side, the extreme south face of the building. They'll bring it to about his level so that he can't move laterally to the left. And again, they broke out a window earlier. They may break out another one or wait till he gets to an area where there's a grate and break out a grate to try to make it clear to him that he can't move any further up the building from that vantage point. But the window washing scaffolding isn't a crime fighting device. It's not fast, it's slow, and it's still coming down the side of the building. It will take a while to get to him. He probably doesn't even know it's there yet. He can't see it for sure. He can't see it from his vantage point. So right now, he has been talking with the police and emergency services workers for some time, but they aren't anywhere near him right now. They are in windows 2 floors below him, and if they're talking to him, they're having to shout because he is still moving up the side of that building. Now, they'll probably reposition themselves slightly above him as that scaffolding comes down to intercept him from his left side. So that's where we are right now. The plan is beginning to take shape to get him off the side of that building. NJ mentioned a little while ago there could be rain here, and he is working with a suction cup rig up there, and the rain will definitely interfere with that for sure if there is rain. Right now there are blue skies directly above him, and he is going up the side of that building as emergency services workers try to come up with a plan to get him down.
Let's just reset what's happening, Jim. We have Jim Dolan and NJ Burke at the scene of this young man, apparently an experienced mountain climber, some sort of rock climber, climbing the Trump Tower, 56th Street and Fifth Avenue in Midtown, shutting down that area at the height of rush hour home. We don't know why he's there. He did write some sign with a Sharpie as he began his ascent and showed it into a window. We don't know what happened to that little sign on a piece of paper. So we don't know why he is there. Why this is news is because obviously we have building climbers before in New York City. But ESU has already busted out a window two floors below this young man. The scaffolding to his left, you can see in that little box on the left of your screen, that's coming down to try to coax him in. We're pretty sure they're not going to try to force him in. And there is a lot of other news going on right now. Hold on, Jim. There's a lot of other news going on right now. We are going to have the news we were going to normally have on Eyewitness News at 5 on our website for those of you who want to take a look while you're watching this at the other news of the day.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Bill, we do have a picture that someone took from inside of the building looking at the climber, and there he is there. Jim, can you talk about when we first suspected that he actually got onto the building?
Yeah, that happened. That was earlier this afternoon, Sade. He was on that garden level and started setting up his rig, and there was nobody there to react to that fast enough. I just want to point out that I spoke with emergency services workers just a few moments ago, and they did point out that the plan always is, the training is always to not talk to a person in this position about what their agenda is, to talk to them solely about tactics, to talk to them only about what they were doing, not why they are doing it, and to get him off message as much as possible. So while he has been talking throughout this ascent up this building, emergency services workers are trained not to talk to him about why he's doing it, but only about what he's doing and what his plan is. So their plan, their discussions with him have all been tactical and not very much about whatever his political agenda is. As you can see, that scaffolding is continuing to make its way down the building, but still about 35 floors away from him.
Okay. Well, Jim, we're going to come right back to you. In the meantime, let's go to Joseph Jackalone again, who's a retired NYPD detective sergeant. And you've been listening to all of this, Joe. Talk to us about that conversation right now that's going on between the emergency services unit and this climber.
Yes, well, they want to make sure that he comes inside the building. We don't want to see him slip and fall, and like Jim had just said, if it starts raining and become really slippery, it's a problem. So they have, to watch the weather. They have the nightfall coming. They want to be able to try to end this as quickly as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a banner or something in his knapsack that he's going to hang from the building. I mean, these are the things he seems to be. He's on an agenda, and he seems that he's going to, fulfill his obligation, whatever he thinks he wants to do.
Well,
the only thing that. Yep, go ahead, sorry.
Pardon me, Joe. I was just going to say, we're almost going into 2 hours now that he's been out there climbing. What is the approach at this point?
Well, I mean, patience. This is something that you have to try to use as much time as you can. We don't want to force any issues because, like I said, we don't want him slipping and falling. And, we want to try to have this thing ended as quickly as possible so we can get people home who wants to trying to get home with all this traffic. But,
of course,
at this point, the idea is just to be able to try to get him in safely and then, deal with everybody else after the fact.
For John,
I mean, they might even...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jim. Sorry, Bill.
For you, Joe, and for Jim, and for NJ, Amy Freeze here, looking at the weather coming in and watching these storms that were out east, says we're not going to get rain, at least for a long while. So rain is not the issue that these folks and this young man are going to be faced with. By the way, Mr. Trump, we've talked about it. Mr. Trump is not there. He was in Virginia this afternoon. He's headed to Fort Lauderdale for a rally tonight. And so this is not about Mr. Trump being there, but that's the reason we're covering this wall to wall. For those of you who are writing in on social media saying, where's the other news? This is big news right now because this is, in fact, the building belonging to the candidate for President of the United States, Republican nominee, and that's why we are covering it. Joe, thanks for being with us this afternoon. Hang on if you could, because we may, this could be a long night. I don't know how long we'll stay with it, but we're gonna keep an eye on it. Obviously, we're gonna also have this on our website, ABC7NY. Joe, thank you for insight. We'll get back to you a little bit. Jim Dolan, you're still there, I take it.
Yeah, Bill, I just wanted to point out that scaffolding continues to come down, and we said earlier, just a few minutes ago, that there were blue skies above this, but it has gotten dark near in just the last few seconds. And the possibility of rain, I don't know what Amy was saying about rain, but it looks like it's possible. The police are setting up their efforts on the 21st floor. He is about the 19th floor, maybe the bottom of the 19th floor right now. They are setting up an operation on the 21st floor as that scaffolding continues to come down. They expect to be able to reach his level when he gets up to about the 21st floor with this. With the scaffolding, they will reach his level at about the 21st floor, and that's where they are setting up operations. It's not clear if that's where it will end, but that's where they're going to try to make it end.
Yeah, this has been quite difficult for them. They thought they were going to catch him much lower when they knocked out the window, and we could just see those shards of glass raining down, and then they brought in that scaffold, and that didn't work. Now we can see on the left side of the screen the scaffold at another area coming down, and hopefully that will work. But Jim, this is slow going here. This is almost 2 hours.
Sade, if you can go look just up there, it looks like they are about to break out another pane of glass up there. I don't know if you can see that thing, and that's going to fall right down on him. That glass is going to fall right down around him when it breaks, but they are definitely trying to break out a pane of glass again to try to intercept him. Remember, when they moved the scaffolding down before, they moved it down on the face that he's on right now. He moved over to that face so that he could avoid the scaffolding. Now they've moved the scaffolding to his left, to the extreme south face of the building, and they're going to stop him moving laterally to the left there, and if they break out that window on the 21st floor, then he can't go any further up the building either. So it looks like this showdown is going to come up about 2 floors above where he is right now, and it'll take him a little while to get there, but they are close now.
All right, stay with us for a second, Jim. We're going to bring in Amy Freeze, meteorologist Amy Freeze, in for Lee Goldberg. And Amy, you say you've been tracking the storms out east. What's the likelihood of any rain here in Manhattan tonight?
Well, Bill, on the radar right now, we definitely have cloud coverage. We've got this instability because of the heat and humidity, but there are no showers imminent here. On the AccuTrack, we don't have anything coming up. Our satellite and radar combined shows we are socked in with clouds, which is creating that darkening of the skies. And as it gets a little later, closer to sunset, of course, darker and darker it becomes. But right now, there's not any shower activity imminent right over Midtown Manhattan. So right there where they are at East 56th, it's dry for now. And, you know, we've got at least probably an hour, you know, at the very, very minimum before anything would develop.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know for certainly the ESU workers there, and for this young man, no matter what his agenda is. Jim, you heard the detective Joe Giacalone say, and he agreed with you, that they're not going to talk politics, despite the friendly conversation they appear to be having. They're not talking politics there.
That glass is going to rain right down. I'm on the ground tight.
Jim, okay. In the meantime, you know.
I'm sorry, Sade, they are trying to break out a pane of glass. I'm working down here on the ground. I apologize. They are trying to break out a pane of glass above him. I thought it was 2 floors. It may be 3 floors above where he is right now. As that scaffolding comes down, they're going to try to box him in right there. I'm sorry, Sade, if you asked a question, I did not hear it. I was trying to arrange things down here.
No, Jim, it's okay. We're actually just getting in new information about this climber, and apparently his name is Steve, and he's from Virginia. And it appears to he dropped a laptop computer when he first started climbing from the subroof garden. He then apparently had a notepad that he was briefly showing into the windows before dropping that too. So that's a bit of the new information that we've had thus far. But Jim, we've been talking about the signs of fatigue here. A few moments ago, we could see him stretch out his arm, kind of twist his wrist, just to try to give himself some energy to keep climbing. But he is determined, despite being surrounded by NYPD Emergency Services Unit, he is pressing on. So, Jim, you talked about how they're having a new approach now.
Well, it appears that way. It appears that they're trying to break out a pane of glass, a big pane of glass directly above him. If they break that out, and it has been rippling now from the pound of what appear to be hammers. I don't know what they're using, but it has been rippling now for a little while. If they break that window, the glass will come raining down over him, because that's the idea. They want to break out a pane of glass that's in his path, and that's what they are doing now. You see the scaffolding is very close to him now. That will eliminate an escape to the left, to the extreme south side of the building, the south face of the building. And if they break out the glass above him, then they'll well, they've thought they've had him cornered before, but they will have him close to cornered. You mentioned the fatigue. When they had him earlier, he was only 15, 16 floors above the ground. He is 19 floors above the ground now and has had to move laterally quite a bit. He's got to be tired already. Just imagine the energy he's expending trying to avoid the police, let alone climb the building. So they've got a plan. It's not clear exactly how it will all unfold, but we are here watching, and we'll show it to you.
Well, we have a great shot now, Jim. The scaffolding only about 2 floors above his head, and if you're saying that a couple floors above that, they're trying to break out the glass. They're going to box this young man in. There's no question about that. It's interesting that he dropped a laptop computer, a notebook, as he was beginning his ascent on this. Who knows what he's going to do? Use this to broadcast on social media? We don't know. It's very popular on social media. On our Facebook Live page right now, we have 60,000 people watching this, and that's growing fast because it's sort of captivating. As we're at 5:55, what you're watching is a young man, apparently an experienced mountain climber, certainly looks like that, using these very strong suction cups that actually turns air on there, creates a very strong vacuum. That's why he has to move very carefully when he's out of it, but it really holds his body weight up that mountain climbers use, but more importantly, that glass movers use to actually lift up huge panes of glass, and he's climbing. It's been going on since the 4 o'clock hour, and he's at Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan, 56th and 5th Avenue, if you're just joining us. Traffic at a standstill, gridlock there. Mr. Trump is not there. He was in Virginia, where this man named Steve apparently lives as well, and now he's on his way to Florida. But he is running for president, and so this is taking up our entire Eyewitness News at 5 right now as we go into the 6 o'clock hour almost. If you are interested in the other news of the day, we do have it on our website. We're covering that for you, so we're not leaving you without your news of the day. As you see that scaffolding, Sade, start to come down just 2 floors above. He's climbing up to meet it. He's not going to be able to go anywhere.
Yeah, and he just has to be exhausted at this point. You know, this started unfolding at shortly around 4 o'clock, so now we're going into 2 hours now. And again, this is a cat and mouse game playing out on the south side of the Trump Towers. You can see crews there coming in on the scaffolding on the left-hand side, but you can see this guy Steve from Virginia still making his way up, trying to stay away from the edge so he cannot get nabbed. So this is quite a precarious situation at this point.
We're looking for some of the windows that Jim Dolan said they're trying to break out above him. If you remember, you were talking at the time, you saw that big shard of glass. There it is. They're trying to break that window out right there. You see that move right in there, and it went flying by him. This young man is in pretty good shape and looks like remarkable shape. And in the mountain, people who do this generally are. And he does not, to me, seem to be too tired. I know you and Jim have said he looks tired, but he must be tired, but he definitely does not seem to have slowed down a lot. This guy knows what he's doing, and I don't know what his goal is in all this. But he is not relinquishing it, that's for sure.
No, he is not. So, again, you know, we are waiting by here. We are waiting for him to be hopefully caught by the emergency services unit. This has been playing out for more than almost 2 hours now. And when will this come to an end? We just don't know, but hopefully it will be sooner rather than later. Right now, you are watching Eyewitness News at 6.
Right now, it begins with the breaking news. The young man on the 16th or 18th floor, the 16th floor of the Trump Tower at 56th Street and 5th Avenue in Midtown, the area shut down. If you're just joining us, we've been covering this for the last hour and a half. He has 5 suction cups. He's using 4 that he's actually employed right there. He has those different colored ropes that are tied to his legs. He is well strapped in, and he is vacuum pumping that air in there, as you can see, to hold it on. He will now put his foot into that purple rope and use that to holster himself up, and all his body weight will be on that, and then move the other one up, take the air out of there, devacuum it, depressurize it, and move that up. This is strenuous work. He's apparently an experienced climber. We don't know why he is there. That is the mystery. Jim Dolan is on the ground for us, as he has been all afternoon, along with NJ Burkett. We're going to start with Jim and the very latest. Jim, set the stage for the viewers who are just joining us for Eyewitness News at 6.
Well, Bill, this is pretty interesting, actually. We see what he does not see. He does not know that scaffolding off to the left, which holds emergency service workers in the scaffolding. He does not know that that's over there to his left. He doesn't know it's there, blocking his potential path to the left in case the window breaks above him. He can probably hear that they are trying to break out a window above him, but he doesn't see the scaffolding from where he is, and he doesn't know that it's there, blocking that possible exit route for him. So he is continuing to go off to the left. They are trying to break out a window. I believe it's on the 21st floor. He's on about the top of the 19th floor, maybe the bottom of the 20th floor right now, and they are trying to break out a window above him. They have been talking to him just over the last few minutes about the possibility of giving up his backpack to get rid of some of that weight, but he is reluctant to do that. He's reluctant to make any contact with them because